It's amazing how much material I get almost every day. All I have to do is turn on some sort of press secretary thing or Trump talk or something, and I get so much stuff. Here's another one. This is February 23rd. There's a presser. Kevin Hassett comes up, and question from the news people. I want you to hear his answer, and especially right at the end. So let's go ahead and watch this thing.
IRS? Okay, go ahead.
This would be for either one of you. So we reported, several other outlets have reported that about 3,500 people are due to be lose their jobs at the IRS by the end of the week. If the goal of these spending cuts across the federal government has been to reduce the debt, why impose some of the deepest cuts we've seen so far at the agency responsible for raising revenue for the federal government?
Pretty much a normal question. Why would you fire IRS at the beginning of the tax year? Now understand, the IRS has been massively underfunded and underpeopled and undercomputered for many decades. Nobody wants the IRS to work. At least nobody in business or nobody in the Republican Party wants the IRS to do their work. I mean, we owe taxes. And I pay mine. But we don't want anybody to question what we do. And so there weren't a lot of audit stuff. Now, what happened is Biden put a bunch of money into it. I think it's $82 billion over 10 years. And to personnel, auditors, computer upgrades, all this kind of stuff. Okay, and the Republicans just hated that. You're just going to harass the people. And harass the people that don't pay their taxes. Okay, so she asks the question, why are you doing this? And he says, well, we've looked at this, the Secretary of the Treasury. When was the Secretary of the Treasury actually put in his job? I don't know for sure when, but it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so he's determined that, oh, this is the lower end. We'll do much more jobs than that. Because most of these people are not being utilized, or some of them aren't being utilized. Actually, I think they probably are. Let's see, underfunded, understaffed for decades. Then they started hiring people a couple of years ago, and now they're overstaffed. Ah, yeah, okay.
Well, I think our objective is to make sure that the employees that we pay are being productive and effective. And there are many, more than 100,000 people working to collect taxes, and not all of them are fully occupied. And the Treasury Secretary is studying the matter and feels like 3,500 is a small number, and probably can get bigger, especially as we improve the IT at the IRS. And so I think that it's absolutely something that is on the table for good reasons. And the point is that don't just talk about the IRS, talk about all of government. That there are so many places. I live in DC. You maybe live in DC, where nobody's going to the buildings. People aren't commuting because nobody's doing their job. We look back and we see that there are all these people doing 2 jobs while they're getting a government payroll on the payroll. So the point is, we're fixing that, and the IRS is a small part of that picture.
And then he goes on about, well, you live in DC, and I go, and all these buildings are empty. There's nobody working, and there's nobody traveling to their work, and they're just sitting at home. Are you kidding me? A lot of these people took their work home. During the pandemic, a lot of people worked from home. If what they were working on was computer work and stuff, they could easily do this. And it did not affect their workload or their output. And we have supervisors that's just their job, to be sure these people are getting their workload. Now, is it perfect? No. There will be failures here and there. There's failures in the office too. So you want to bring all these people back because you say they're not working. They're sitting home feeding and playing with the dog. And I'll say there will be a percentage of people that are going to be a problem that way, but if you got a supervisor worth his salt, he's going to know because he's going to look at the work output. People can work at home as well as they can work in an office. You just don't have somebody that can boss them around so much. But what I'm saying is, this is massively overblown. They're sitting there just saying people are sitting at home not doing anything and maybe going to get another job. That's not true. None of that stuff is true. If you start following these people, as that Secretary of Treasury probably should have, then you're going to find out that these people are putting a certain amount out. I've known people that work at home. They have a certain amount of work to put out. They get that work put out. It's produced in there. It's checked over by the supervisor, just like it would be in the office. And nobody has to commute. Would you love to commute in D.C.? That's the worst commute you could ever have. It is the worst. Okay, I think that's full of crap. This is just a hatred of government workers. I don't know why this administration, they just love to hate government workers. By the way, it was government workers that saved our ass in World War II. They were called GIs at the time, government workers. And they weren't used all the time. Sometimes they sat on their tail. Anyway, and a lot of these guys that are in the federal government are veterans, and we owe something to veterans. And the government, for the most part, has been pretty good about employment for them. Now, then there's a follow-up question, and she says, well, these people in other agencies, not their IRS, because they haven't fired anybody yet. These people were given notice that they were being fired for poor performance. Okay? Many of them had never had a performance review. Some of them were working for years. I don't know how that all worked, but these people were kind of at-will employees, I guess. I'm not sure that's what you'd call it, at-will or what you call it, probationary or whatever. His answer to this, when she says, well, they never had a performance report.
So you're saying that everybody who's being let go was doing a bad job?
I'm saying that we're studying every agency and deciding who to let go and why. And we're doing so very rationally with a lot of support from analysis.
Because we're being told by a lot of people who have been let go at other agencies that they were told they were being dismissed because of poor performance, when in some cases they haven't even had a performance review yet because they've only been on the job a couple of months.
Yeah, I've never seen a person who was laid off for poor performance say that they were performing poorly.
I don't know if anybody that was fired for low performance ever thought his performance was low. That was not the question, was it? That wasn't the question. The question was they didn't have any performance reports on them, reviews, but they just fired him anyway. So obviously not for performance. And the last thing I want you to look, the same thing I put in the thumbnail, is smiley face, and he's always kind of smiling, but it's kind of a smirk here. And our lovely Catherine right beside him with her little smile on there. And if Steve Miller, if the shot was wide enough, Steve Miller, he's probably got the widest grin you can ever think of. He thinks that is so funny that you're taking these people, throwing them out of a job when they were doing good work. And it's going to cost huge amounts to fix this. They sit there and say, well, we'll put some ET or IT in there. They mean AI. And I've told you before, my opinion of AI is it ain't ready for prime time. Anybody out there had a computer upgrade and everything worked perfect? Anybody ever have that? I never have. And can you imagine working for the IRS with the complexity of what they do? And that just smoothly works. AI will fix it. AI will fix it. Not going to happen, guys. We will pay for this. That's it on this one.